Hi, everybody. This is story time with Checkers and Jingle here. So, I wanted to tell you guys the story about my late hamster Mocha. So, as you guys may not know, 19 days ago, um, she would have been 2 years old if she was still alive. So, 19 days ago was her heavenly second birthday, but because of my mom being at the hospital and I had to stay at the hospital with her to help her out because she was sick, so we only had to celebrate her heavenly birthday at the hospital. But anyways, here's the story about my late hamster, Mocha. Now, it all started um on August 9th, 2023. So my family and I we were going to Petco to adopt a new hamster because our previous hamster Shaggy passed away from cancer on August 6th, 2023, and my beta fish Kenji was feeling very lonely and he missed Shaggy very very much because like I said both Shaggy and Kenji they loved each other very very much, and Kenji loved his big brother and he missed him very very much. So my family and I, we decided to adopt a new hamster to keep Kenji company. So, in other words, to get a new sibling for him. So, anyways, at the pet store, my family and I, we were looking at the hamsters, and I saw this brown hamster in a cage. It was a female. It was a short-haired Syrian hamster. The employee at Petco told us that Mocha was surrendered. She was abandoned by her previous owner at Petco. So in other words, her previous owner surrendered her at the pet store. I'm not sure why, but when I first saw Mocha, I was in love with this hamster. So Mocha, she was a short-haired female brown Syrian hamster. So she had like light and dark brown fur. She also had the white on her neck, on her belly, and on her mouth, and she had the cutest little pink nose and the cutest little black eyes and those inquisitive ears. So we named her Mocha because she looked like a little frappuccino, and I do like frappuccinos very, very much. So, anyways, we named her Mocha because Mocha the hamster, she looked like a little frappuccino. Um, the dark brown fur looked like coffee. The light brown fur looked like chocolate. The pink nose looked like a strawberry. The the little black eyes looked like little chocolate malt balls, and her ears looked like cookies. And the white on her belly and on her neck and on her mouth looked like whipped cream, and whenever she runs on the wheel, it's like a frappuccino that's being blended in a blender. So, in other words, I would say that Mocha is like grinding her coffee beans, but she's just trying to exercise, you know, trying to get her girlish figure. But, my family and I, we adopted Mocha, and of course, my life has changed with Mocha. So in other words, I've been happy with her and she's been there for me when I needed her the most. She's been there for me when I was getting bullied by a lot of people because a lot of people were cyberbullying me. She also helped me get some new friends online until some of my old friends, some of my friends have betrayed me. She was also there for me when I had to get an operation last year. Oh, I'm sorry, when I had to get a procedure last year, in other words, bone marrow biopsy. She was also there for me when I first started dating Rohan, who was my then boyfriend. She's been there for me when I needed her the most. She was also there for me when I had my appointment with my CSS worker. So Having Mocha in my life has really made me feel happy, and of course, she's just a wonderful hamster. I did introduce Mocha to Kenji, and Kenji was kind of a little hesitant to accept her, but then as time went by, Kenji started to accept Mocha. So Mocha got to meet a lot of people. She got to meet my neighbors. She got to meet my neighbors who had dogs. She met Maggie the Chihuahua mix, and she also got to meet Skippy, the Cavalier King Charles Spaniel. And of course, she also got to meet the girls that my mom was taking care of. So, in other words, everybody loved Mocha. So, Mocha, she was funny, she was cute, she was smart. One time, I was having dinner, I was having a grilled cheese and some sun chips, and Mocha, she had a tantrum. She wanted my food, and I told her, no, you can't have my food. And then that's when she had a hissy fit. So she got really mad and started chewing on the cage. She's really athletic. She's really silly. She's also smart by reminding me to get my medications. So Mocha would always give me the stare as if she was saying, "Girl, go take your meds. Go take your medications." And I'm like, "Okay, Mocha." So yeah, Mocha also likes TV. Her favorite show is The Golden Girls and Golden Palace. So whenever I get the television on, oh my god, Mocha, she wants me to play the Golden Girls. I'm like, fine, I'll play the Golden Girls. So we also got to watch TV together, Mocha and I. We watched movies. We also had game night together. And of course, she was just a wonderful hamster. She loved my father, and she loved everybody else. She liked dogs and children. But then last year, I noticed something was wrong with Mocha. She was losing some fur, and my mom and I, we had to take her to the vet. But the vet said that she was healthy, and the vet said, for us to pay attention to Mocha. Because, like I said, she was getting older. She also loved Humphrey Hamster books. She loves it when I read to her. But then on September 21st, 2024, my family and I, we were just getting ready to go to the cow train event, and I was just getting ready to do a video, but then suddenly I went to Mocha's cage. I noticed something was wrong with her. She was cold, she was lethargic, and I had to tell my mom, and of course she called my father and sister, and she told my grandmother what happened, and of course my father and sister, they came in the room with my mother, and we all said our goodbyes to her as she was lethargic, and she was cold, and she was losing some fur, and she was skinny, and that really made me upset because, like I said, I knew this was coming as she was getting old because she turned 1 last year on August 9th of 2024. And of course, Kenji was upset as well. He was worried about Miss Mocha. So we all got to say goodbye to Mocha, and then a few minutes later, she took her final breath and she passed away peacefully, surrounded by my dad, my sister, and of course, my mom and I. And it really broke my heart. It really had devastated me. Losing Mocha had been very hard because, like I said again, she's been there for me when I needed her the most. She's been there for me when I was bullied. She's been there for me when me and Rohan started dating. And she's been there for me when I had to get a bone marrow biopsy at the hospital. And she's been there for me for my mental health journey. And of course, she was a wonderful little sister to Kenji. Kenji was very upset when Mocha passed away. He was really upset and he missed his little sister. And of course, losing Mocha, not only it has affected me, but affected everybody else. Cause like I said again, she was just a wonderful hamster, and my grandma liked her very much. So we had to wait for a few days. We had a funeral for her, and right now she is now buried in a flower box. So that way I can visit her and see her all the time. And if my family and I, if we ever move, then we would bring the flower box with us with the hamsters, and keep it, in the backyard. So that way we can visit them all the time. So here's what I like to say to my late hamster Mocha. So Mocha, if you're listening to this from Rainbow Bridge, happy belated heavenly second birthday, little girl. Thank you so much for being a great hamster. We all loved you very much, and you will never be forgotten. We will always remember you, Miss Mocha, aka Miss Momo. We will never forget you. Thank you for being an amazing hamster. Have fun at Rainbow Bridge and tell everybody else that I said hello. That Jingle said hi and that Checker said hi too. Please keep an eye on your brothers and sisters. So yeah, so like I said, Mocha would have been 2 years old if she was still alive. We will never forget her. We will always love her very, very much. Yeah, so that's all I have to say. Story time with Checkers and Jingle signing off. Bye.